Hello and thank you for watching. This is STSC back again with LEGO Transformers Rise of the Beasts, Arcee. Ever since we first saw her in the original trailer, I've been trying to make an Arcee at this scale work, and I just never could. I really wanted her to have an interesting transformation, and at this scale, it's just really hard to try and make something transform convincingly. In the end, I had to settle for something pretty basic, but I think it has at least one kind of interesting trick to how it transforms, and at this point, that's good enough for me. She scales decently well with my Autobots. Honestly, I think she might be a little too small in robot mode, but she's still super oversized in bike mode, so I think it works. Of course, this is her bike mode, and I think it's a little bit rough. There's no handlebars or actually any windscreen, but it looks like a bike, kind of. It has a kickstand here, actually, using a minifigure hand. That was a late addition. I realized there was open space on this bar, and I think it works pretty well, actually. It allows her to stand very reliably in this mode, and makes it very easy posing her next to her other Autobot friends. Of course, it is a very blocky bike. This back section is practically a brick, but again, it's tiny and it has to transform. For a scale, here we have a minifigure. And here we have Mirage. I think she's just barely small enough to look decently convincing next to Mirage in a kind of cartoony Lego scale. Obviously, she's too big, but I think this is close enough. That's really all there is to say about this tiny little bike mode, so now it's time to transform. And here we have Arcee in her very tiny robot mode. Like I mentioned earlier, she's a very simple build, but I think the way her arms transform is just clever enough to make her worthwhile. Turning her around, you can see the mechanism through which they transform, and it is pretty basic. But again, I think it's decently interesting. I like the way the arms move with the wheels, and I am happy that she has the wheels kind of where they're supposed to be, behind her shoulders. And in the end, I think that's about the best I could hope for when trying to build her at this very tiny scale. In the movie, Arcee has a white face with some pink details, but to help the face pop better at this tiny scale, I just made the entire face pink, actually using a little flower piece here, which you can see there. I've used this rounded tile just to give it a little bit more shape, and it can kind of be turned, but it's so tiny, it's barely noticeable. At the arms, there is an outward joint here, but you can kind of futz with the connection there to make the arm move outwards. I actually like to use some too long bars here to represent her guns from the movie, and you can kind of pose her shooting them like that. Then she actually does have a waist swivel, but it tends to knock into the little panels here on her side, so I don't really use it. She has a forward hip joint here, as well as a knee joint, but with the way it's designed, you have to move the foot like that in order to bend it. And of course, as I've just shown, the foot is able to bend, which actually makes standing her a lot easier because she does have a pretty sizable backpack, so being able to kind of tilt the leg forward like that and then bend back helps her stand a lot easier. For a size comparison, here we have a minifigure, and here we have Mirage, who kind of towers over her. Arcee is pretty basic, but I don't think I could have come up with something much more complex without compromising on scale, and in the end, I'm pretty happy with what I was able to come up with. But that's all for now, so I'll see you next time.